everyone, I hope you're all keeping well. If you're new to my channel, my name is Julie and I'm a big Star Wars fan. So what I actually done was I actually asked a friend of mine who I know from YouTube, and his channel is called Snoke, Spinal. And what we really wanted to do is talk about things that we would like to see in Star Wars Episode 9 and also sort of things that we predict may happen.
What's up, everybody? Thank you, Julie, for having me on your channel today. And some things that I think that definitely need to happen in Episode 9 are, well, one is Luke. He needs to return as a ghost or as just like alive. 2, Lando. We need to see Lando. Like, we need to have him back somehow. 3, there needs to be an army for the Republic. You know, there has to be, or I guess they call themselves the Rebels now, or the Resistance, but there has to be some kind of like an army that helps out Leia, that comes back, or whatever that's supposed to be coming around here. There is a 1 year time frame from The Last Jedi to Episode 9, and I was thinking, well, they can't really have clones. There's not really too much time for that. But one thing is that they could have droids, most definitely. I remember studying some about Lando and about how he there was a comic book about him, what happened after Return of the Jedi, and that he actually makes like some droids to protect him from I think they were assassins sent by, you know, enemies, the Hutts, and well, in those stories though, he goes to Cloud City and he finds out that the Empire is there and that they basically took over Cloud City after he left. And what I was thinking is that he could return and possibly bring this like droid army in. I know a lot of people don't really like the fact of Lando now and with droids, but this would make a lot of sense to have him come back, and then it would also make a lot of sense for him to return with droids, especially with that story about him making droids to protect him. So let's say they could just write it in very quick, like he already has an army built because he's been planning for this type of thing, and he returns. What also could happen is that maybe, let's say Lando doesn't come back, or he just comes back. But let's say if they just find the droids, like a droid army from like the Clone Wars, that they rehack and they make the droids basically fight for them, and they have like this grand army all of a sudden, like they could find on like a Geonosis, something like that. But I think that those things definitely need to happen for Episode 9 to make sense and to reflect on like past prequel stuff and the original trilogy. You know, it would just make sense for droids to come back, I would think, and to actually have them fight for the good side now instead of the bad. But thank you for having me on your channel, Julie. Those are my predictions. Luke, he's kind of there or not, or whatever. It's kind of, you really don't know what they're gonna do with him. But yeah, I thought I would focus on just Lando and the droids. Thank you for having me on your channel. I am Snoke Spinal Tap. Like and subscribe. And like and subscribe Julie's channel. It's a great channel. Real fun place. I like it. And thank you. May the Force be with you. Always.
What I would like to see in Star Wars Episode 9 movie would be a lot of lingering answers that has been left unanswered. I would like to see a lot of answers, basically, is what I would love to see. I mean, after watching The Last Jedi, just as an example, there was so many, it left me with so many exclamation marks and question marks sort of all over the place. And I would really love to see and find out just exactly who is Rey really. Her character was just so undeveloped in The Last Jedi film. Also, I would love to see more about Snoke, because I heard that there was like a novel released last year. I think it was around the start of the year, like March or April or something like that, last year, and it sort of talked more about Snoke. But to me, I don't like that. I don't really like having to go and buy a novel and sift through the pages just to learn more and find out about someone's backstory. You know, just shows it in a movie. Disney basically just shows it in a movie. That's all I'm saying. Now, the next thing that I predict probably will happen, but I think it's kind of a bit too late in my opinion. Some people most likely disagree with this, but sort of finding out who are the other Knights of Ren, but that's something that I feel should have been touched upon already. I think it's a bit late personally, but to be honest, I wouldn't really mind that being touched upon in a small way, so I think they maybe could do that. But as I say, hopefully it makes sense. I think that that's something that they should have already explained to us already. I mean, obviously we don't really know much about the Knights of Ren. I mean, we know that obviously Kylo Ren is, of course, obviously the leader of the Knights of Ren. Didn't really explain a lot in that sort of a sense. For me, another thing that I think would be cool to see is, now I mean a really fantastic lightsaber battle scene between Kylo and Rey, which brings me on to the fact that something I really hope is not going to happen in this movie, that I predict probably will happen, because I think this is the way Disney's going to go to sort of set themselves up to milk another 10 to 20 Star Wars movies to release every single year probably, would be that I hope that Rey and Kylo Ren, I think this is going to happen, are going to end up teaming up together and becoming so close and super sweet and adorable, and it's going to end in this like sort of mushy ending. And that's going to set Disney up, as I say, for a whole complete entire string of movies, and I really hope it doesn't go that way. That is just my opinion, and to me this is the problem with Disney. Like, if you look at, I might be going off on a tangent here, but if you look back at the original saga guys, right, the first 3 original sagas movies for Star Wars, there's what's called the catch. You know, there was a reason why you were gripping on and watching, keeping you wanting to watch the Star Wars movies. You know, you had the whole amazing, legendary, fantastic storyline of Luke Skywalker finding out that Darth Vader was actually his father. And that moment, that scene, is probably one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars. And then of course you had the prequels. No offence, but I know there's people going to write, oh, I hated the prequels. I can guarantee you, even though you've already watched the prequels and didn't like them, you will go back and you'll have watched them. I don't lie, I know you have. No, I'm just kidding. But because there's an intriguing story there, you want to be nosy and you want to go, oh, let's find out how little Annie, or little, I always call him little Annie, little Anakin Skywalker became, what was his whole story? How did he get to become Darth Vader? You know, there's a catch there. So it makes you want to keep watching, and I mean, you knew what you were going in to watch with the prequels. I mean, you knew what you were going to get, I suppose, in ways, and I know people are going to say, you know, this is the problem. The recent sort of Star Wars movies have been so splashed with politics. There's so much political agenda going on, and like, kids don't understand that. I mean, I know there was quite a lot of politics in The Phantom Menace in specific, but I can remember going to the cinema and seeing that. I can still to this day remember going to the cinema to see that. And yes, okay, there was politics in it, but back then I didn't even know what politics was. I'm not even gonna lie. And if someone asked me how did I find the movie, fun, entertainment, I really enjoyed it. And I can actually remember in specific that all the scenes with little Anakin were my favourites in the movie, and I went to see it with my parents and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the movie. The problem is they don't have any originality anymore. They don't have what you would call the catch anymore to keep people wanting to carry on watching the Star Wars movies like they did back in the day. And also there was something else that I was going to say there and I've completely forgotten. Yeah, they don't, they're putting way too much politics in it, that's what I was going to say. You know, kids aren't going to want to sit and watch a scene like in The Last Jedi, you know, talking about political stuff for like 5-10 minutes. Just, to me that's boring even for me as an adult. You know, I want to go and watch Star Wars movies and things like that to kind of take me away from all that sort of thing, listening to all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I just think that Star Wars has kind of just went off on one really, in a way, and I haven't been excited to go and see a Star Wars movie for quite a while now. And this is literally only me small sort of wise touching on things that I suppose I would like to see, but at the same time I think that there has been too much of a mess made out of the likes of The Last Jedi that I don't know how they're going to recuperate, if I could even speak, from it. But yeah, I mean, even for example, that The Last Jedi movie was so wasted. There was so many characters in there that shouldn't even have been given a job because they didn't need to be casted in the movie. There were so many nonsensical characters, I don't even know where to start. And for example, Rey and Luke, Rey went out of her way, let's face it, to look for Luke, mind the pun. And basically she, I think that was wasted because the storyline between them two, the kind of the direction that I thought that was going to go in, or that it really should have went in at least, or could have, the option was they could have had Rey and Luke sort of team together and start some sort of order. And then just thinking, what about if in a future movie then they could have sort of geared that up and got you excited to sort of go, okay, we could have this idea where, you know, they then have to fight the likes of Kylo Ren or Ben or whatever you want to call him, and Snoke. To me, that even would be a more half-decent story and to get you more excited. Instead, another thing is as well, you know, Star Wars seem to be doing stories now sort of like going forward and trying to sort of like really prolong things, but you could also do stories as well where you're going backwards, just putting that out there. Now, The Last Jedi has made it likely, from what I watched anyways, from what I gathered, was that Leia Organa is going to be basically being Rey's trainer or mentor or however you want to call it. But for me, that's definitely going to need a time jump in episode 9, and I would guess that that's what they're going to have to do. Like, how else are they going to go about it? And then that would sort of leave room for to sort of explain that Leia has already trained Rey, and then that sort of sets it up for the next Jedi mourning her loss. And then moving on to that, I think that there needs to be a proper send-off for Carrie Fisher. Oh my goodness, she was such a legend, such a princess, and I feel that the way her character and Mark Hamill's character, who of course plays Luke Skywalker, who I love, I feel that in no other words their characters were dismantled in The Last Jedi film. So I mean, she doesn't deserve any less, I mean, than getting a good send-off, and I really hope that she does get a good send-off, especially like if the family are going to be watching episode 9. So I really hope for that, and I'm pretty sure all the fans hope for that as well. I mean, I would imagine. The last thing that I would like to say is, yes, it is important, guys, to have strong and really heroic and inspiring characters within these Star Wars movies, for me anyway. But what's also just as important is the whole sort of lore, the whole history of things, the whole mythology of Star Wars is just as important as a character's journey, is basically what I wanted to say. So yeah, I mean, my expectations aren't all that high for episode 9, but let's see how this is going to unfold. But I think things need to change, I really do. I think that Disney don't really know how to handle Star Wars, and I feel, mind the pun, this is going to sound so cheesy, but there needs to be some sort of balance of something with these new movies. There needs to be, we need to get a new balance in the Force. There needs to be a balance in the Force, guys. There really does. That is what I think. I hope that this was interesting for you, and thank you so much to Snoke Spinal Tap for agreeing to do this collaboration with me. If you did like this, let me know and we can work on many more Star Wars videos together, and we're both very thankful that you came to watch. And what we would love to know in the comments below, our question for you would be, what would you love to see if you were in control? Basically, what would you love to see in Star Wars Episode 9 film, and what do you think they're going to do with it? What would you really like to see more than anything? What questions even would you like to see answered in this movie that haven't been touched upon yet? Please, if you get the chance, I have put the link below in my description box of this video for Snoke Spinal Tap's YouTube channel. I know that it would mean an awful lot to him if you could go over and check out his videos. He is a massive fan of Star Wars, and I think his theories and things of Star Wars, he does a lot of theory videos, are really interesting. So please go and have a look at his channel if you get the chance. He will be really grateful. From the both of us, may the Force be with you.